The LA Clippers season is still over, but Lawrence Frank held his exit interview on Monday. What were some of the revealing things he said? Some of the hints about what the team could look like next season? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Cancun Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and just finished my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod, and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and NBA content. I'm going live like almost every day talking about the NBA games, the playoff games. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know what are your thoughts on the comments made by Lawrence Frank on the direction of our franchise, reflecting on the year. Just give me your thoughts. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Go place any bet you want for the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, MLB on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, so in this episode, we are going to be talking about the comments made by Lawrence Frank in his exit interview. Now, I want to just let you know, what about the players, right? You might be wondering, what about the players' exit interviews? Well, they did not hold any. They basically refused to speak, which I think is a complete slap in the face to all of us fans. When you guys had another failure of a season, I don't care about the context. I don't care that Kawhi got hurt and there's nothing you guys could have done. You guys failed. You guys did not get a top 3 seed even when he was healthy. And you guys lost in the first round. So I'd like to see you answer for yourselves. But no, you want to just go straight to vacation and join me in Cancun? Fine. I don't have any respect for that at all. And I don't know how much you guys, how you feel about it. I feel like it's ridiculous. Anyway, so Lawrence Frank goes there and sits there and talks for 35 minutes and takes all the bullets and answers all the questions from our beat writers. And the very first thing that everyone's wondering, what direction are they looking to go in? And I'm not going to, take direct quotes really, because I didn't have time to just write all of them down. But let's put it this way. Lawrence Frank essentially said our intention is to bring back Paul and James Harden. Remember, they already re-signed Kawhi mid-season because they got super juiced up over a little healthy stretch that we were playing great. And they were like, yeah, you know what? That's enough for long-term security. Forget about the postseason and if he can stay healthy. Let's just extend him now so we can avoid tough conversations in the summer. Yet I still want to have those tough conversations with Paul George in the summer. Don't even get me started on these guys. But anyway, he said literally, we had a major injury that did happen. This is actually a direct quote. We had a major injury that did happen, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. So, from the sounds of things, Lawrence Frank wants to run it back. He wants to re-sign James Harden and Paul George. Obviously, I'm guessing the front office and the holdup. He wants Paul George to... to probably take less than a max or less than Kawhi. Kawhi signed for 3 years, $150 million. So I'm guessing they want Paul George to take less, given that he's a worse player. Now, of course, Paul George, as I mentioned in the last episode, it sounds like he wants the max. He wants to get as much money as he can get because this is his last big contract. And his arguing will probably be like, oh, well, I'm healthy and Kawhi's not and stuff like that. And look, I mean, that's valid. It's absolutely valid. But Paul George's lack of seriousness, I mean, this guy averaged 19 points in the playoffs this year without Kawhi Leonard for 4 games. So there's really no excuse. I'm going to be doing an episode later this week, either Wednesday or Thursday, on grading every single player during the playoffs and season. So maybe give him 2 separate grades. Or would that be too much for one episode? We'll give it a shot. Maybe player grades on the season and the playoffs. But The point is, Lawrence Frank is like ready to run this back. And I think the reason he is because they know they have no choice. Kawhi Leonard getting us to trade for a second star, and I am not going to listen anymore. I'm not even going to respond to you in the comments, guys. Like, I've been responding all year, but the Kawhi stands that want to deflect blame from him in any single way, and talk about how he wanted other guys before Paul George. No, what he should have done is not come in with so many demands, let us play it out for a year and accept that maybe it's not a championship team the first year, but you're literally 29 years old and have all the power in the world of this organization that'll bend over backwards for you, and they will give you what you need. So LeBron James campaigning to be the GOAT, going to the Lakers and giving him a year to retool around him, that was more patience than Kawhi showed. Kawhi was like, I'm not signing unless we get another star. That set us back many years now due to Kawhi's injuries. Did he know that he could get injured? Did he anticipate that he would not play in the playoffs 5 years? That he only would play 1 out of 5 years fully? No, of course not. Nobody could predict that. And I do feel sorry for him because he definitely wants to compete. But I feel more sorry for our fans who aren't getting paid $50 million and have to sit there and have hope for this. That's what I feel really bad for. So, I do feel bad for the organization. I get it. Money can't buy happiness, but money can buy you a lot. And $50 million is a whole lot. So, like, this, I think Kawhi and Paul George and all of them are disappointed, but they don't exude the body language to me that they're, like, starving for a championship anymore. They never have since they got here, and they are not starting now. So, I'm not really going to say anything else except for Lawrence Frank says he basically wants to run it back. They know they have no choice because we have no picks to retool with, to rebuild with. We have no picks. And Paul George can opt out of the contract. The only way we can get something from Paul George, essentially, is because I heard that a sign-in trade is not on the table. He needs to opt in, and then we trade him on that last year. Kind of like we did for Chris Paul. Chris Paul opted in, then we traded him for Pat Bev, Lou Williams, and Montrez. That was amazing. But I don't think Paul George owes us any favors. Because the thing about Chris Paul was by taking that year and then waiting the next year, he got to maximize his money and get a full new contract with the Rockets. Paul George, he doesn't want, that $49 million is a lot. He might not be getting that much. But if Philly's willing to throw a bag at him for, like, let's say 4 years, $200 million or something, then, by all means, go out and get your money, dude. So, and then James Harden is an unrestricted free agent. You paid and you gave up expiring contracts and first-round draft pick for him. So, are you just not going to bring him back? You took that swing for no reason because you failed because Kawhi got hurt 1 year. So, it just doesn't seem like they have anywhere to really go. If they want to suck, it would be willingly sucking without much of a benefit unless... Well, it is a benefit. The benefit is that you develop young players to increase their value, to potentially trade them or see how much they can potentially be in the NBA. We have a bunch of guys like the Jordan Millers and the Kobe Browns and the Brandon Bostons and the Bones Highlands that just legitimately have not had a consistent role in the NBA yet. They've just, whatever small role they've had, it's been cut out right away, or they haven't gotten one yet at all. So you're never going to find out how good these players are unless you give them consistent burn. And there's no reason for them to be getting consistent burn with a championship contending team or a pseudo championship contending team. So, I don't really know what to say except for that. Lawrence Frank said it. What happened? We had a major injury. That doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. So they want to do another year of, if Kawhi stays healthy, we got a shot. And coming up, going to be talking about some of the aspects of the team in which Lawrence Frank said they need to improve and address some of the weaknesses based on what he's seeing around the league. Going to be talking about that coming up. This next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. I want to blow this sky high. I want to watch our young players play even if it means we win 15 games. I am tired of this. There's no point of watching a team that's going to be within 45 to 53 wins only to lose in the first or second round because their star players can't stay healthy. Sorry, but therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off our chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right. So the Clippers and Lawrence Frank had their exit press conference. And as I said in the first segment, the theme was that the Clippers are essentially running it back or trying to bring Paul George and James Harden back and give it a go, because Lawrence Frank said that just because it happened this year doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. Now, I do believe help is on the way. Lawrence Frank did say that we're going to go out and try to improve this roster. We clearly weren't good enough. We were a wing short. So now he's essentially admitting, I did not go and do my job during the trade deadline well enough. We were a wing short, which is obvious. You know, we rolled with the bench of one of the two bigs, Russ, Norman, Coffey all year, 9-man. Coffey probably should be a 10th man. He probably should be. We definitely needed one more big forward. So, yeah, another wing short. PJ Tucker wasn't that guy for us. So we're going to see if the Clippers probably try to go for that. Mason Plumlee is on an expiring contract, and so is Daniel Tice. So it's like either they want to play Kai Jones as the backup next year or Musa, or go out and get someone else. But Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice, I think you move away from both. I think definitely you move away from Plumlee, who was getting $5 million this year, probably $3 or $4 million too much. And then Daniel Tice, as serviceable as he was, I wouldn't mind re-signing him to another like $1 million deal for 1 year. But he's still on the older side anyway, and Lawrence alluded to it in the conference. He said we definitely need to get younger. And you got to find out a way to get that, because it's not like you can just go out there and it's like a supermarket and you can just get whatever you want. There's no competition for it. There's competition for these guys. So another wing short makes me confident that he's going to probably try to go out and get another wing. You know, if we can ideally slide Kawhi back to the 3, that would be, if you want to keep this team together, that is the move. You know, I'm not saying that him playing the 4 is the reason why his knee deteriorated or whatnot, or got inflamed. That's a real curious thing for me, is how did Kawhi Leonard's knee just randomly get inflamed after 68 games of work? Was it like just that workload over 68 games? You know, hopefully we can get somebody from and closer to the inside and hopefully hear about that stuff. So I don't know. We can talk about it. We can see if we can talk about it. Maybe get a guest on. But yeah, getting younger. I mean, Lawrence Frank kept saying that we see that the league is getting younger. We see what's going on. It's not like we're naive to it. It's just a matter of what can we do. But the way he was talking about our team right now, 2-on-3, is like we just need 1 or 2 tweaks and we need help and we'll be fine. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. But the fact of the matter is they do need some help to go get, you know, another wing and maybe get some youth. I don't know how they're going to do it. We don't necessarily have that many assets. We traded away all our picks and expiring contracts. So unless they're willing to trade Terrence Mann or Zoo, and those are the 2 guys that I would like to build, you know, move forward with. So I don't know. I mean, there is an idea that, like, if you do bring James Harden back, as much as he and Zoo worked well together, do you go out and try to get a more athletic lob threat, vertical threat as a center? The thing is, can you go get a vertical threat that can also defend even close to the level of Zubats and willingly give up Zoo? And I just think that would not be a great idea. You know, and I don't think you can find that guy just on the streets. So the moral of the story is that Lawrence Frank is clearly going to try to get maybe another wing, try to get a little bit younger, and sees that we are old, but he also understands he's got nowhere to go, because they're not going to willingly suck going into a new stadium, which, again, some diehard fans like myself truly do not care. We have seen this team suck for many years. I grew up with this being the worst franchise in professional sports, so I don't care. I know we're never going to be that bad again because we have Ballmer, and we've built our fan base. I just want to have fun again, whatever that means, and this was not fun. What's fun is me coming on here and talking to you guys about it. That's what's fun, because I get to interact with fans and I get to get paid to talk about my favorite team that I care so much about, too much about. And even though I have an opinion that doesn't align with a lot of people, I really don't care. I really don't care. I'm going to keep being myself and keep saying how I feel. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that Lawrence Frank is going to try to make this roster better, but the biggest problem with this roster is not the supporting cast. It's the core. Not being able to stay healthy and being on the older side. That's the truth. And, you know, Joey Lynn, one of our good beat writers over at SI Now, asked him a question about Westbrook. And he, you know, gave the classic, like, oh, Russ was so professional this year. I love the way Russ acted. He sacrificed and this and that. He's like, yeah, we'll see what happens. It was just like a we'll see what happens kind of thing with Russ with the player option. But coming up, going to be looking at our contract situation. We're going to be harping on this throughout the summer, looking at our contracts, what's flexible to move, what we should bring back. And I'm also just going to be talking about what my overall thoughts are on these comments, because I'm just kind of giving like the neutral view, even though you can kind of see where I'm going. But anyway, let's talk coming up. I got to tell you a little something about one of my favorite apps to use, and that is DoorDash. DoorDash is always there for me late night when I need to get some food, and I just work so late. I record this podcast at like 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get some food before I go to bed. So then DoorDash comes in clutch for me. And DoorDash isn't just for late night deliveries. You can use it to help you get something for your mom for Mother's Day. Moms are a gift, so give her the best this Mother's Day. Get gifts as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. Select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets of the best of tech to self-care essentials and more delivered right to her door. It's never too late to show mom your love this Mother's Day with DoorDash. Surprise mom with flowers, gadgets, and self-care essentials all in one place, delivered right to her door. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Does she like books? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? Maybe a gift card to her favorite coffee shop, an Amir coffee shop. You can't go wrong. Get a Mother's Day gift as unique as she is with DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's Locked On NBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. All right. So, the Clippers, after having this, little presser, it sounds like they're going to run it back. And Lawrence Frank said, like, we're not just going to run it back. But what he means by that is we're not going to put the exact same roster out there, which is like, okay, who does that? Every roster has some changes from a year-to-year basis. But you are running it back. You are bringing back Kawhi. You are bringing back Paul and Ioane. You are bringing back Harden. So it is running it back. And in my opinion, it's just some of the comments I think are just really delusional. Like him saying, I understand the frustration of our fans and this and that. He doesn't want to say it, but he's got nowhere to go. We've got nowhere to go. Okay? We don't. Except for here. Yep, that's right. For those watching on YouTube, we are officially Intuit Dome bound. You see the background? We're going to get a new background of me being inside the Intuit Dome. Maybe a picture that I take myself. But right now, if you're on YouTube, you see my background has officially been changed. This is the background you will be seeing for the foreseeable future. The Intuit Dome, and oh, how beautiful does it look? It's funny, I was actually just walking. I went to the Forum the other night for Tom Brady's roast. That was really interesting. And I was walking down, I think Manchester, and I was just looking down at the block, and I could see SoFi Stadium, the Forum, and the Intuit Dome all in one eye shot. And it was just so surreal. As someone who's lived there for years, I remember when it was just a Forum and a Hollywood Park racetrack. And now you have SoFi Stadium, the stadium of my dreams. The Intuit Dome is not necessarily a stadium of my dreams. I always was fine with the Clippers at Staples Center. It's just kind of like, wow, this is really happening, amazing, something I never envisioned. But the SoFi Stadium was a stadium of my dreams. I wanted a football team since the moment I was into sports, and I waited my whole life for one. And then we got that deal and that stadium happening in front of my eyes year by year. It was just unbelievable. So Inglewood, man, I just want to feel bad. I just feel bad for the people of Inglewood. The gentrification, the crowdedness. It's really bad. Even one of my best friends after SoFi, he got priced out of his long-term house, his childhood house. So I do feel really sorry for the people at Inglewood. It just looks so hectic, but it'll be fun to be there next year, and I can't wait to see the inside. But point is, because of this Intuit Dome thing, because of where we're strapped financially, Lawrence Frank really has nowhere to go. But for him to make that comment, he kept harping on all the positives this year. Oh, well, we won 51 games. We had that stretch where we looked like the best team in the league. Like, these guys, when I die on my tombstone, they should just write 26-5, because you guys are just dying on the hill with this 26-5. Like, that shows that we're a championship team. Again, 10 of those 31 games were against non-play-in teams. We won plenty of tough games against good teams, but a 31-game stretch does not make you a championship contender. That's why you have 82 games to play, and top 3 seeds are that. Again, are we going to win the championship? No, we're out. We weren't top 3. All 3 of the top 3 seeds are in the Final Four in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, the Celtics and the Knicks and the Cavs, 3 of the top 4 in the East. Seeding matters. So Lawrence Frank kept saying, we won the division. We finished 4th, and we were healthy. That's the whole problem. We finished 4th, and we were so healthy. And his comments at the end were very we're going back to load management, me fearing that that's what he meant. Because he was like, we know that we got to attack the regular season and all that, but we also want to keep our players healthy for the long run in April and May. It's like, okay, so that sounds like we're going to load manage again, which cooks every chance of us getting any good record to building good habits. So for me, Lawrence Frank's biggest quote that pissed me off was, we had a major injury that did happen, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. It happened last year, and you try to do the same thing by saying again, this stuff, it's not going to happen again next year or whatever. Not making guarantees, but essentially saying that. Who are you kidding, bro? It's not like I'm guaranteeing Kawhi's going to get hurt, but at this point, if people were to make that guarantee, I'm not going to say you're being such a hater. It's it's very well in the cards. Very much in the cards, sadly. Very sadly. For him to say that doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. It's okay, you just want to... Whatever. Again, you have nowhere to go. I don't think he doesn't care about the fans at all, but you have nowhere to go. So you're basically saying, look, this is what we have. Put up with it. I will not be. I'll be covering this team and being unbiased about it like I always am. And I'm seeing this as more as work because I can't get worked up over this. No way. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you anymore. That this is exciting and this is a fun team. It's a jump shooting team of a bunch of isolation guys with one pick and roll player that struggles in transition defensively, has wary health, a star that avoids responsibility, and 2 guys that are very suspect in the postseason when it comes to winning the whole thing. And then the most reliable guy is the least reliable in terms of health. We have a bunch of guys on the roster that aren't good enough to be playing on a championship contender right now that are just sitting there. And let's talk about one of them, Brandon Boston. Now, I looked at the payroll today, and I totally forgot that Brandon Boston is on an expiring contract. His contract is up. Here are the following players that's contracts are up. James Harden, Mason Plumlee, Bones Highland has a team option, so we can opt into the team option for $4 million. I would absolutely do that if I were the Clippers. Brandon Boston, expiring contract. Daniel Tice, expiring contract. I think we have Kai Jones signed for next year. It doesn't show on Basketball Reference. I'm forgetting if we do. I think we do, though. But Brandon Boston is not signed for next year. So it's if you want to go a different direction, then yes, keep him around and re-sign him. You have not given him enough of a chance to show if he's a real NBA player yet, though. We gave him a little bit of burn towards the end of this season when Russ was out and stuff like that. But it's nothing consistent enough to really make determinations on him. He definitely looks better in regular minutes than garbage time minutes, but it's just not enough of a sample size for me to say how good he can be. All I know is he can't play for a championship contending rotation yet. He's going to have to play on a team with less expectations. And if we're not going to be that, then we probably shouldn't re-sign him, which makes me worried about what his future in the league is, because we had him for 3 years and we kind of just wasted his time. So that's the thing. Our roster was really reliant on 9 or 10 guys all year. We need to have guys that are ready to be playable when guys go down. And that means filling out the roster with a little bit more useful pieces than a bunch of young guys that aren't going to play. If we're going to go all in, go all in. I just wasn't pushing for that because I'm not all in. So anyway, that's how I feel. Delusional. It sounds like from Lawrence Frank, to be honest. Delusional that this team can go back and compete next year. I just think if you guys are watching the Nuggets in the Timberwolves series and you're watching the way Minnesota's locking them up, we had no chance. We are so far away from a title. We're way too slow. We're way too small. We're way too unathletic. Our best players are not reliable. We don't get to the rim nearly enough. We are so far from a title, and I hope all you in the comments are realizing that. That is not being me being a hater. It's me having eyes. Anyway, that's it for me in this one, guys. Let me know what you think of Lawrence Frank's comments. I want to hear. And, yeah, hopefully better days are ahead. We'll see. It'll be a fun offseason, I think. I mean, we are moving into a new arena. That's fun. And it'll be awesome to host this podcast for our first stadium in the new arena. So our first year in the new arena, first season in the new arena is what I was looking to say. So that'll be awesome. But anyway, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA Sports and NBA content where I'm live every single night talking the games. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know what you think in the comments. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.